I can finally breathe because the cliffhanger is over and we know that Claire didn't throw Dougal over into the angry clutches of the Redcoats. Nope, she says she's a guest of the Mackenzie. Not good enough for the Redcoats, so they still make her get on a horse and come with them to be questioned. Dougal isn't leaving her side now. And while she's comfortable with her English comrades, Dougal is not. While he stands guard next to Claire as she's enjoying her meal, the men start to make fun of him for wearing kilts. Not a plan. He definitely shuts them down, but then decides to go downstairs and have a beer. See, the 1700s weren't so different from today. And while everything's going along and Dougal's enjoying his beer and Claire's enjoying her dinner, in walks Captain Black Jack Randall. You see him and you think, oh, it's Frank, but it's not. It's this evil, wicked, awful man who's mad because Dougal is downstairs. Eventually they're interrupted and she gets to go downstairs and do an amputation, which I could not watch. This is literally what I did the whole time. The amputation is not the most traumatic thing to happen to Claire that day because she goes back upstairs and all of her nice new friends are gone and she's left alone with Captain Black Jack Randall. They have a lengthy conversation that ends in violence and Dougal coming in to save her. But now it's time for our favorite part, my top 5 standout moments from this episode. Even though she tells the officer that she's a guest of Dougal's, he still makes her come in for questioning. What I loved most about this scene, though, was that when Claire was going off with the Redcoats, Dougal stayed with her. He could have sent that Sassenach off to meet her fate with her own countrymen. Up to this point, we've all kind of wondered, is Dougal her captor or her protector? But at this point, you know that she sees him primarily as her protector. 2. So when Claire walks in and sees Black Jack Randall being shaved with an old single blade, it sends her mind back to a flashback and we see dreamy Frank. The Frank we want her to get back to, and she's kissing him and shaving him and they're having this wonderful romantic moment. Sadly, we're brought back from the daydream to the reality of Black Jack Randall attacking his little young officer. I seriously thought he was going to cut his throat. And again, I can't get over how Tobias, who plays both Jack and Frank, is such a talented actor. I love his character and I hate his character. 3. Claire asks Jack Randall about the boy that he gave 200 lashes to. And Jack starts reminiscing about it and talking about how awful it was and how that boy just wouldn't break. And Claire's teary and heartbroken and feeling some compassion for Jack and feeling terrible about what happened to Jamie. And that's when Jack Randall has her just where he wants her, vulnerable, so he can punch her right in the stomach and make her fall on the ground. And then when that young officer that he threatened and he thought he was going to cut his throat comes in, he makes him kick Claire. 4. When Dougal hears Claire's distress, he runs up and rescues her from Black Jack. Then he puts her on a horse and they leave at a breakneck speed to go get a drink of water. He asks her again if she's a spy and she is so annoyed. And I can't say that I blame her for being annoyed. I mean, what else does she have to do? She stood by Dougal's side, she was kicked in the stomach, she was punched, but she answers and he decides that he does believe her because she's drank out of St. Ninian's spring. The magic spring, and if she'd been lying, it would have burned her gizzard out. Either way, Dougal and Claire have come to an understanding, and now he has a way to protect her from the Redcoats. He's gonna turn her into a Scot. 5. Let's face it, she's trying to get back to her actual husband 200 years in the future. Dougal doesn't know that, and so it looks like she's on the path to marriage. And as she's sitting there reading over her marriage contract, Jamie comes over. Claire's inquiring, why would you marry me? And why would you want to do this? And he says he wouldn't be a good friend if he didn't protect her from Jack Randall. Oh, that's romantic. And she asks if he has any other romantic interests, which I'm assuming she's thinking of Leary back where he was making out with her at Castle Leoch. But he tells her no, because nobody really wants him, he has no money, and there's a price on his head. And we find out that instead of a blushing bride, we'll have a blushing groom. Thing wraps up with us anticipating a wedding next week, and Jamie getting deflowered. That's what I thought of the episode. What about you? Let me know in the comments below, and we'll chat about it there.